This is Eleanor Hospice in Gravesend, one of Kent's busiest hospices. A registered charity, Eleanor provides treatment to over 2,500 people requiring care and support right across the county. The care that they deliver is free for people of all ages. 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year.
I have my own little motto, and it's live life hard and fast and every day as if it's your last.
You know, life is precious. When people realise they have a shorter time than they thought was likely, actually every moment matters.
Their 200-strong staff and 600 volunteers are dedicated to making people's remaining days the best they can be.
It's about just letting that person just leave the ward with dignity and respect.
I'm sure every nursing profession cares, but there's something special about hospice.
Hi.
Eleanor also take their support and treatment right into people's homes.
To have a really good cry is amazing.
You may think a hospice is a place people come to die.
Some people think as soon as you say the word hospice, that's the end of the road.
But it's actually a place people come to live.
There's a huge amount to offer.
It is full of fun. It is full of laughter.
You need to live life to the full. You don't know what's around the corner.
So let's make the most of what we've got.
Monday morning, and hospice nurse Angela is making her first ever visit to Swaleside Prison to offer some training to the prison nurses.
Today I'm going off to Swaleside Prison on the Isle of Sheppey. We were invited to do training on verification of death to prison nurses, and that is a process where nurses verify that death has taken place. I'm feeling very nervous, not about the training, but the fact that I'm actually going into a prison. I am nervous, very nervous. Excited at the same time though, very excited. You feel as if you're... Oh. No, calm down, Angela, calm down.
Having arrived at HMP Swaleside, Angela steadies her nerves and heads inside.
This is your workbook which you keep on yourselves. When you change jobs, it goes with you. So once you've done this training, if you go to another setting, it's set in stone. Okay? Verification of expected death is something that we have been doing for a long time, and Eleanor is there to support them because of our expertise. We're more than happy to deliver that training, because the more we spread the word, the better it is for communities like the prisoners.
I'm Dermot Stanley, I'm the clinical...
It's important that Angela and other colleagues from other health agencies come into the prison to learn what we do, to see what we do, to experience what life is behind bars.
And how long have you been working in this establishment?
38 years in jail.
Really? Well done.
I know where the bodies are buried.
That's a good icebreaker. I like that one. Humour is important in the jobs that we do, especially in palliative care, because it keeps us grounded, and sometimes it breaks the ice.
It's very common for people who have never been in prison to be scared. Part of the value of people coming in is to demystify it, so that people can see behind walls, to see what the service is and how we deliver it.
Can I just ask, what are you hoping to get from this session?
We don't have that many expected deaths in custody. However, there are an increasingly old population, and we want to be able to try to treat them with dignity and respect.
One of the objectives of why verification of death is lying with us nurses is that GPs are inundated with requests to go out in the community to do verification of death, expected death, because they don't only get called in the homes, they get called in the nursing homes, in residential care establishments like this. That creates a lot of work. And we've been verifying deaths without doctor input for a long time as nurses. We know when a patient has died.
Staff at Eleanor consider the well-being of family members an important factor in the care they offer patients. Training facilitator Sue stops in on Linda and Terry, whose mother is a patient on the ward.
Have you been talking to her?
Yeah, all the time, yeah.
We learn most things by talking, listening and talking. It's two of the best senses you can ever use when working with palliative patients and their relatives. You can hear people's story about how hard things have been, family dynamics, all sorts of things.
She's got her hearing aids in because, you know, she can't hear a thing without them, so...
So when did she lose her speech?
Right towards the beginning of it. More than 6 years ago.
More than 6 years.
6 years ago?
Yeah.
That's a long time, isn't it?
Had the dementia about 10 years.
Right.
Yeah.
So has Mum been living at home?
Yeah, we've kept her at home.
Wow. Linda was a teacher and she was approaching retirement, and basically she's just put her whole life into caring for her mum. Terry had a huge part to play as well. So how did you feel when the hospital said about Mum coming over to the hospice?
Relieved, especially as it was all such a crisis thing, so sudden, and both my brothers, one more than the other, wanted this, and we had to arrive at a consensus. And
so you had a chat?
Yeah, I think we're all very happy, more than happy now.
I know that she'll be well cared for and well looked after.
The hard thing is, you know, it's the end. That's the hard thing. It was probably the moment, and you think that, don't you?
Yes, because it was getting very, very exhausting, and
from now on it would have been just deterioration that we would have found really hard to see.
Here they can focus on being daughters and sons, and we can very quietly and very gently take over the care role. And it's really important to watch how you do that, because they've been caring for her for a long time. So we don't want it to feel like we're taking over.
But I suppose not having to be looking after her at home takes away any stress and upset.
So how are you doing today?
It's a waiting game in a way, isn't it? And the doctor came in this morning and said they choose when to go. It could be any time. You could be sitting with her all day long and then go to the loo and come back. And we don't want to lose her. I don't want to lose her. But it's best for her.
The family have been doing all this care without any support from a care package. They are an amazing family, really amazing. My hat's off to them. Hilda, you've got amazing children. You must be really proud.
We've got an amazing mother.
Always amazing.
Well done, darling. You've done brilliant. Thank you so much. You all right?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, I need a moment. That's...
Yeah, OK.
Sarah is a children's palliative nurse at Eleanor. Much of her work is based out in the community, visiting children under her care. First on her list today is a visit to Finley and his mum Sarah.
We're just doing a follow-up appointment. Finley's recently been at surgery and had an insertion of a gastrostomy, which is, they make a tunnel from the outside of your belly into your stomach. And basically we can administer medicines via that, we can administer feeds via that gastrostomy, and it's just a good way that we can continue with nutrition through times where Finley's not feeling quite his best.
Where are your giggles?
Hey?
Where are your giggles? Finley, unfortunately, when he was born, he got meningitis B and subsequently had quite significant brain damage secondary to that. So he's got cerebral palsy, feeding difficulties, and he has an epilepsy disorder.
So the secretions have increased, but they're not thick at all.
No.
No discharge from his nose.
No.
So they're...
Seems pretty well in himself.
I'll have a little listen to his chest as well.
Head up, Finley.
And have a cuddle.
Tummy out.
So that gastrostomy...
Looks lovely.
It looks really good, doesn't it?
It's got quite loose now. So I imagine
but you've
that
got,
it's just where swelling's gone down.
Yeah, and you've got a little bit of the gunk, as it were, but it's very minimal, and actually this site itself looks lovely. And this scar,
that's got really nice.
Perfect, doesn't it? Can you poke your tongue out?
Poke it out.
Is that making you giggle? Is it? Finley is a very bubbly boy, very smiley, very interactive. Oh, he breaks my heart every time. I think he knows it as well, doesn't he? I am a mother and I do have a 4-year-old boy, and it's incredibly tough not to have that life that I have at home come into my work life, or my work life to come into my home life. I might see if I can just catch him laughing. I think that's much better, rather than opening our mouth. I know, what's that about, huh? It's tough and you learn to protect yourself, but I'm a human at the end of the day, and yes, I do get upset, and I find it very hard that I now have a 4-year-old, and how lucky I am that he is who he is. And I do go home and I do grab him occasionally and just keep hold of him.
I'll tell you what, Finn, should we say tick-tock? Tick-tock.
What's tick-tock? Oh, that's good. What's that?
Tick-tock usually means it's time to go. Like at nursery, things like that at the end of the day is tick-tock.
Right, I saw the sides, not the bases, and actually they didn't look quite swollen.
OK.
Sarah and the team try to maintain a child's health for as long as possible. But when health declines, there's an emotional cost.
Your anxieties do raise when you get to the point where we know that a child is deteriorating, and it does take a bit away from you. You do lose, and I say you do lose a part of you, and each family will take that part away from you and they will keep that. But you have to stay strong and protect yourself. Do you know what? That was very easy, me looking at his throat. I'm going to have to remember TikTok, aren't I? What other words can I use?
You like boobies as well, don't you, Finley?
Boobies?
That makes you laugh too.
Is that funny?
Eleanor children's nurse Sarah is visiting her patient Finley at home when the 4-year-old's health suddenly takes a worrying turn.
Finn? Are you OK?
There we go.
Are you OK? Hello?
What are you doing?
You want a bit vacant now?
He did, didn't he?
He did that at nursery as well yesterday.
What, that vacant? Is that what they said, did they?
Yeah, and he was head down.
OK.
And they were like, Finley, Finley, Finley.
Yeah.
And they use the words like TikTok because they know that that will make him laugh and things like that if he's OK. But if he is totally zoned out, he won't react to it.
Yeah. Finley is quite complex, so it's not as easy to kind of babysit over the night. He has seizures which are very complex, and the management plan for those seizures are quite difficult.
It's really hard for us to do anything as a couple because Finley's difficult to look after on a daily basis for us, let alone someone else. So
they're incredibly isolated and almost kind of stuck in a cabin in this situation, which they cannot get out of.
We probably haven't had any quality time as a couple since we had Finley. So
4 years ago then was the last time that you actually had some time. No, we need to get you a time, and I think that would be my ultimate goal, is to give you an opportunity where it would just be you and Mike that's able just to go out.
That would be lovely. That is what we need.
That would be...
some grown-up time. Yeah.
Today's visit was really good. He did have this blank episode and the seizures have increased, so I will need to follow up on that to make sure that those do settle down. But all in all, it was a lovely visit. Nice to see you, handsome man. And I hope this temperature goes, OK? Please, give me a call if you need to. Yeah. You take care, Sarah. Bye, see you, bye. For them not to be able to have private time with each other, it's incredibly stressful in that home to be able to, for them to nurture their own relationship as well as nurturing 3 other children. The stress that has on someone's relationship is very powerful. They may disagree with me, and I'm sure they will disagree with me, but actually I think they do very well.
At Swaleside Prison, senior nurse Angela is offering training to prison nurses and is having to get to grips with how they administer palliative care to the inmates.
Some men are serving considerably long sentences and will have been living on the wing in their cell for several years, and it is their home, in effect. And some men choose to die at home. We would admit somebody to the inpatient department, but some people see that as the end, and they've been removed from their home to die in a hospice or to die in hospitals.
The prisoners consider their cell as their home.
This is.
That is very, very interesting. That is something that I can bring back to my colleagues, that home is any setting that a patient chooses. I remember things myself better when I remember it attached to a story. And the mother wanted to know whether he died. Now, if I was sticking to the guidelines, I would say, sorry, you have to wait for the doctor to come. I knew by looking at him, without even looking at the heartbeat, that he was dead. I just looked at his eyes and I could tell. But I covered myself by saying the doctor will come. All she wanted to know was whether her child was dead. And sometimes you're placed in situations like that. If you paint a story that's very by textbook, it doesn't happen. Life is not a textbook. I remember a patient said to me once, we had a very frank discussion about death and afterlife, because she believed in afterlife. I said, oh, do you? I said, what is it about afterlife? And she was telling me, and I said, I don't know if I believe that. She said, do you want me to come back and tell you? I said, no, it's all right, it's all right. But she was very frank. She said, do you want me to come back and tell you? I thought it was quite sweet. That's how she looked at death. So what actually happens now, the process is, if a prisoner dies, can you tell me what the process is?
Prisons are a unique environment in that all deaths in custody will be treated as a crime scene also.
Really? So every death has an inquest?
Every death. It's investigated by the Police and Probation's Ombudsman, and it is subject to a coroner's inquest.
So what happens to the inmate that was sharing that cell? He gets moved to somewhere else?
He would be moved someplace else.
I know we have to deliver unbiased care and non-judgmental care, but going into a prison, it was known that these crimes have been committed. One thing that I have thought about, how do you cope with dealing with someone who, okay, let's give an example, a paedophile. You know the atrocities that he's done, and he's dying and needs your care. How do you deal with that?
Still a person at the end of the day, and that's how you see them.
I've always said, if you cannot deal with men who have done sometimes horrific crimes, then don't come to work in a prison. Go and work in a children's home or in a palliative care, in a hospice.
We choose to work with these people. I don't have a problem personally, and I don't think anyone in this room has a problem dealing with our clientele.
I've never been that close to a prison. I've seen it from a distance, but never that close. But I'm glad I did it. I'm really, really glad, because it's something that I've learnt, that no matter where the setting is, palliative care can still be delivered. And they were non-judgmental, which is great. I felt much calmer once I got into the classroom environment, I must admit, because that's the environment I feel safe in. And I related to Dermot quite well, because he had that sense of humour and how he took on his role, how he does his job. If it's serious all the time, you can't function. It's too difficult.
Back at Eleanor Hospice, new physician on the block, Dr. B, wants to get healthcare assistant Sue's opinion on the possibility of taking a patient on a life-affirming trip to the West End.
There's so many lovely people here at the hospice, and one of the people I've immediately formed a bond with is Sue, and luckily she's been here for ages, so if I have any ideas or I'm doing something, she's the perfect person to run it by. And I said, it's very important that if you're going to stay here and take this as your home, to live. What do you want to do? How do you want to live? What things do you want to do? She said, I really want to see Lion King. You know, I want that day experience at a theatre in London. And she just lit up. So it's always great to talk to her. And she's also full of ideas. We tend to be on the same page about things as well. I think it's important to her because it's something she hasn't done before. She's always wanted to do.
Right.
And it's something she can share with her kids and make like a really nice memory for them.
A really nice memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I called up the theatre, and I must have spoken to about 3 people, and the last girl I spoke to was like, leave it with me, I know we do things like this. So Friday, I'd got the email, I was off work, and I was so happy. I was around the area, so I came in to tell Indira.
Oh my God, so she already knows?
But I came in to tell her, but she was really poorly. It looked pretty bad. She really wasn't with us at that point, you know, so I couldn't even speak to her about it then.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and then I cancelled the tickets with the lady, who was lovely, and said, oh, you know, if anything changes, come back to me. So when we came in on Monday, I was so happy to see that she'd picked up. She was feeling like her old self, and she really wanted to go.
Wow.
I suppose my only thing I'm having trouble with now is sorting out transport.
So have you been in to chat to her about it today?
No, so I went in yesterday and she said, oh, I know, I'm so excited. And we sorted it all out, sort of how many tickets, where she wanted to sit. Her partner was a bit more nervous about it, but...
What's he nervous about?
He's nervous that she might be in pain, that she might exert herself, etc. You know, that kind of loving, caring.
Yeah.
Well, he's doing all the what ifs.
Yeah.
So today I just want to go and sort of touch base with her about what I'm going to give her to take.
Right.
Just in case, just to be prepared, so she feels completely safety netted. And also, I want once we've sorted the transport out completely, it would be nice to go and sort of tell her that it's all done and ready, and it's, you know, full steam ahead.
Fantastic.
After a successful meeting, Angela returns to the hospice for a debrief with Trish, Head of Education and Research.
I met with Trish to feedback on how the training went, because it's a new area that Alan and I are involved with. We don't consider the prisons, and I think this is really an eye-opener for me.
Definitely.
And I tell you what will help is when we deliver our training to others, we can actually incorporate this and say, don't forget. I've been in nursing for 30 over years, and it's still experiences like that excite me and still bring the spark into my job. And this is why I like Eleanor, because it gives me opportunities to go outside to different areas and not just about the hospice, not just about a nursing home. It's loads of things that go on in the community. I think that will be a good working relationship.
That's brilliant, Ange. I think you've done a really fantastic piece of work there, because it's actually quite nerve-wracking in some respects to put yourself through those feelings about what you might encounter.
And I had loads of them beforehand.
I'm sure. And it sounds like you've done a really great job.
I've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was a good experience.
Well done.
Thank you.
Hospice physician Dr. B has been planning to take her patient Indira on a trip to the West End. Unfortunately, Indira's health took a turn for the worse overnight.
The nurses have handed over to us that Indira had fainted, and actually before I even went into the meeting, her partner had pulled me aside and stopped me and said that he was really concerned about her going. It was important on the ward round to go with Dr. Shiraz and see Indira and just talk through what happened with the fainting episode as well, and how she was feeling about going to London.
Right, so tell us what happened this morning.
I don't know, I just got up and I just felt really dizzy.
Right, and you went to the toilet?
Yes.
Right, and then what happened?
I went to the toilet, then I was like really dizzy. I think I passed out.
Okay, did you completely pass out? You don't remember what happened? Right, okay. So on the scale of 1 to 10, what do you think the pain is at the moment?
4.
Oh, that's good. So that's reassuring that you're feeling well. So how do you feel about going to Lion King?
Well, once I get up, I'm going to get up in a minute, see how I feel. Then we'll get ready and go if we feel all right.
We had talked about it before in our meetings in the morning, and everyone had agreed that although we understood where, you know, her partner was coming from and her son, who were very concerned, we also wanted this to be Indira's choice.
Phil has been concerned, obviously. He's worried that things, obviously, if you're in London, and especially anything happens there, then logistically you need to think about where they will take you, how long will you be there for, and how will get you back. And that's something that I am kind of quite wary about as well. I think the important thing is what you feel, what you want to do, and how we can make that happen.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll say, have they said when we're leaving?
Well, the plan was 1 o'clock. So if you get up now and let us know, then things can be changed. It's completely up to you, don't worry.
So there is no pressure. It all depends on you.
What are you thinking?
What am I thinking?
If I get up and I feel okay?
Yeah, absolutely, why not? If you get up, you feel okay, that you can do the journey, then yes, you should go ahead and do it. We'll give you the letters to take as well, just in case. Obviously, we can hope for the best for you to return back as safely as possible, but in the meanwhile, if anything happens, then you have the information, so if you seek medical advice, they know what to do. Okay? Well, fingers crossed. I'm sure that if you feel well, then everything will be fine. Good. Any questions?
Not really. Just thank you for giving me the opportunity to go.
No, thank Dr. Habiba. She's the one who's gone out of the way, and she's organized everything without anybody's knowledge. I didn't even know until Monday morning, so yeah.
So thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Oh, it's my pleasure. But again, no pressure, because, you know, it's all about you. Whatever makes you happy. Okay. I'll pop back in about an hour and see how you're feeling. Yeah? Okay.
Children's nurse Sarah is back on the road and on her way to see her next patient of the day, Sophie.
And we're going out to do a routine home visit and to discuss an ACP, which is an advanced care plan. It's a good plan for families to have because obviously in these stressful environments, when you're attending a hospital and there's a new doctor that doesn't know Sophie very well, it's a handy document just to kind of hand to them so they can read it without family having to keep kind of going over what their wishes are. I want to go through the ACP today. I've had it returned back and it's signed now by Dr. Gupta, so I will go through that.
Yep.
First of all, I'll just go through how Sophie's been.
Sophie's 11 years old. She was diagnosed with a condition called non-ketotic hyperglycemia. Her condition is a very rare condition. She's one of under 500 in the world. It means for her that she can't metabolise glycine, so she has seizures and can also affect her breathing, so she could have breathing apneas. Her life expectancy, we don't know. We were told that she wouldn't make it out of hospital. However, she's still here and we just have to wait and see.
It's about us giving her the best quality of life every day, and we see every day as a new day, and it's a blessing that she's here with us at the moment.
I've had an answer phone message. I can't get hold of anyone about her endocrinology appointment.
Oh, OK.
Sarah helps us with everything, really. She'll help with appointments, giving us support on the phone. If there's any problems, she'll come and help us out.
OK, I can trace that for you if you want me to.
If I try at different times of the day, someone should be there. Sophie's had an increase of seizures more recently. She kind of goes through stages where they increase a bit. Sometimes it can be from a virus or a bug that she's picked up and it's just her body's way of coping. There's always the worry that it's her condition getting worse and that we are heading towards end of life. Watching your child have a seizure is horrible. No one should have to do it. What we can do is just be there for her when she has them.
One of the hardest parts of being a palliative nurse for children is preparing parents for the end.
We've been looking at her Sophie's advanced care plan, so that obviously sets out for the future what we would like for Sophie, what would happen if she was to become unwell.
So for full resuscitation,
Yep.
It's very difficult because we do talk about wishes that we would like at end of life. So for example, funeral preferences. The funeral preferences are at the moment burial.
Yeah.
Organ and tissue donation is to explore this option.
No one wants to talk about end-of-life care and what's going to happen and where you want your child to be buried or cremated or things like that. It is hard.
any kind of deterioration that Sophie's had in the past, it has been reversible. So therefore, we're for full resuscitation. And we've had this discussed with yourself as well as Dr. Gupta, which he's signed down here.
We've gone with the decision that she should be resuscitated. It is selfish on our part because we don't want her to go, but we think she has a good quality of life while she's here, and as long as she knows she's loved, that's all we can do.
Sophie's parents would like Sophie to remain at home where at all possible, as this is familiar surroundings for Sophie.
If we can get all of those horrible bits out of the way and we know roughly what we're doing with them, then we can try and enjoy all the time we have with her now.
Eleanor's resident physiotherapist, Andy, is also out in the community today. He's going on a follow-up visit to help a patient with mobility issues.
So we're off to see David. He's a gentleman with motor neurone disease. So what I'm hoping to do today is have a look at David's mobility, review his exercises that we've put in place, make sure he's doing them properly. Hopefully we'll see a slight improvement in how he was doing since last time. And then after that, we'll probably look at going for a short walk outdoors. Hello again, David. How are you feeling today? Excellent, and the sun is even shining for us on our trip outside, hopefully today. One of the beautiful things about our job is getting to know the people. It's not just their condition, but actually the person themselves, and bringing that person back out for their friends and their family to see. So let's stand up, and then let's sit down. I want to see what David's like with his mobility. I want to see how strong he is. I want to figure out how much of his deterioration is down to the disease process and how much is just down to some deconditioning because he's been doing less. That's it, yes you can. And what about up on your tiptoes? Can you go up on your tiptoes? That one's a bit more difficult. Show me how well you can bend that elbow. Yes, yes. Yes, let's shake hands. Let's say good morning. Nearly there. Oh, a little bit of a cheat there. And then squeeze my hands. Harder. Ouch. Thank you. One of the things that David has found is that he's just not been going out as much as he used to. Partly because of the physical changes, but I think also he's lost a lot of confidence in his own ability. You've been off of your feet for the past 3 months or so, and in that time you will have lost some of your base strength in your muscles. But if we can bring back some of the muscles that you haven't been using and wake them up a little bit, like we said, give them a bit of a slap in the face and say, come on, start working again, we may well see an improvement in your mobility. I think also, though, some of it's your confidence. One of the challenges I had last time was finding footwear that would fit his big swollen feet. And so I've asked the family to see if they can find something that might be a little bit more suitable. We'll take the slipper off. Pretty swollen, aren't they? Okay then, Cinderella, let's see if the slipper fits. And I think we can probably safely say that that's not going to fit. So, are you okay for us to maybe modify these trainers by maybe just making a few cuts just so the foot can get into them? On these ones, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, I think we might just get there. You shall go to the ball. David has probably had a good sense of humour his entire life, so why should that change now at the end of his life? Just because he's developed a condition doesn't mean that it changes his personality. And so what I want to do is bring that out of him. Well, if I don't make it as a physio, I'll just get a job in a shoe shop, eh? How's that? Perfect. OK, shall we go on an adventure? I don't want to go too far and tire you out, but at the same time, I'm a physio and I'm here to work you. When you have a condition like motor neurone disease where the decline is almost guaranteed, what you're really doing is giving them the confidence to try that. And I know that David was very anxious and nervous about going outside and walking. Go at your own speed. Slow and steady wins the race.
Children's nurse Sarah has been visiting patient Sophie at home. Before she leaves, she wants to make sure Mum Louise is able to carry out a tricky procedure on her daughter.
Louise changed the gastrostomy tube, and Louise is very, very good at doing that, and she's completely competent, but it can be quite difficult at times. So we're there to kind of guide and give her some support and some good feedback.
I don't want to hurt her when I do it, that's the main thing. But it needs to be done, and we have to change it every 3 to 4 months.
Just want to make sure I'm just about to.
Yeah.
Right, we're good, Soph.
We've had issues where I've not been able to put it back in. It doesn't take long for the hole to close, and then it's a whole new surgery to have to go through again. So, yeah, it's quite a bit of a... it's always a bit of a worrying time.
Well done.
Good girl. I know, I'm sorry.
How marvellous was Mum, huh?
There you go. Go. Cool.
No need.
I think that was the easiest one I've ever done.
Was it?
Usually it's like pushing and nothing happens.
We kind of trundle along. We have our own bubble that we go along with. This is our normal. And, yeah, obviously a lot of people don't have to go through the same things we do. But it wouldn't be us if we didn't do it. I think if someone was to say to us now, would you have Sophie normal, whatever normal is, I think we'd all go no, because that's not Sophie. You'd think if you have a daughter, they're going to have children and families, and we know that's not going to happen. But we just have to make the most of now and make as much happy memories for us and our other 2 sons as possible. Our other 2 children they have a different idea of life, and they're more aware now of what else is out there, and sometimes it's not all sunshine and flowers and lovely, and things do go wrong. And they love her to pieces. She's amazing, she's my hero. She goes through so much, and she shouldn't have to, and yet she still fights on, she's still stubborn, she still shows everyone what for. And yeah, she's amazing. I can't put it into words.
Hospice physiotherapist Andy is also on a home visit. He's taking patient David out of his comfort zone, giving him the confidence to do more, in spite of his motor neurone disease.
How are you feeling? Because I don't want to overwork you. You want to go and have a look at your flowers? Are you a gardener? No?
No, but
Me neither. But Diane is. That's it. And this is quite a challenging walk because we're on a slight angle on the path. You're doing fantastically well. Motor neurone disease has got quite a lot of press recently. Stephen Hawking passed away from his motor neurone disease after many, many years. How are you feeling? Starting to fatigue a little bit. Actually, in David's case, he was only diagnosed just over a year ago. And that's going from being an independent man, playing golf, going to the pub with his friends, doing all sorts of things, to now being very, very reliant on other people. What's this? Is this all farmers' fields? How does it make you feel being able to see this?
A lot better.
A lot better? That's something that people don't truly understand about motor neurone disease, is that actually Professor Stephen Hawking was the anomaly. Should we head over and have a look at the daffodils over here? What do you think? We know that David has a condition that is going to deteriorate. If I can be the gateway to Eleanor so that he gets more support nearer the end of his life, then that's part of my job done. And relax. Oh, you'll sleep well tonight, eh?
I was thinking that.
Some hard work there. Not that long. You won't make it till tonight. Maybe an afternoon nap. Sounds good to me. And that's a long distance, actually, you've walked there, and over some quite tricky terrain. And not once did you lose your balance, and not once were you unsteady. And hopefully it shows you guys that actually you can do a little bit more than you have been doing. And it gives you some of the confidence to go out exploring and doing a little bit more?
A few weeks' time, all the cherry blossom will be out in the oval.
So how long has it been since you've kind of come and sat out and had a look at your garden and things? Before Christmas? Wow, so a good 3 months. Mind you, we've not quite had the weather for it, have we?
The snow's not on our side,
But let's not say it's because of the weather. Let's say we've made it because of the physio, yeah? Brilliant. I was really quite touched when David said he hadn't seen his flowers for quite a long time. In that moment, you kind of see why you're doing what you're doing. When you don't have anything wrong with you and you're able to go out wherever you like, whenever you like, you don't notice the small things, such as the enjoyment over a small bunch of flowers that are at the end of your garden. That was a really moving moment for me and made me feel, yeah, I've done something good today.
Might be able to take you to Sainsbury's shopping.
Beautiful. I'm really pleased. What about you? You didn't think you could do it, and there you go. Sometimes it just takes trying it and having someone to cheer you on with their pom-poms, which is pretty much all I did. You did all the hard work.
I feel it.
You feel it? Good. I don't spend much time thinking about what the future really holds for some of my patients. So if you're Cinderella, does that make me Prince Charming?
It makes me an ugly sister.
I know how I would feel in those situations, and I know how my family would feel, and yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. You've just shown us there, your walking's really quite good. I can't ignore the fact that David's going to deteriorate, but we will be there for him, and I will be there for him when that time comes. And I think
Haven't been able to do anything, no. You weren't able to do 18 holes for a few years, excuse me.
Yeah, we can't put that down to the motor neurons disease.
And racing the buggies was more of your speciality.
Well, you haven't lost your sense of humour, that's for sure. That went really well. I'm really pleased with that. David did incredibly well. He's already showing improvements, even in a short period of time, which I have to say in my job, it doesn't happen very often in that we see people improving. We tend to see them maintaining and gradually declining, but it's really nice to see people actually showing improvements from the work that we're doing, so that's really pleasing.
Back at Eleanor, patient Indira's health has not improved, and it's still unclear as to whether she'll be able to make a trip to a West End theatre as planned. Dr. B pays another visit to find out.
Just I think I'm well enough. I got up and I felt really dizzy, so
Yeah.
being sensible is not the right thing to do, is it?
I think she felt a lot of pressure that something was arranged for her. Her family were excited as well. There was actually 2 other people going with them, and I feel that she probably didn't want to let anyone down, because that's how lovely she is. I think I have a nice day here. It's quite a nice day outside. You could have lunch outside if you wrap up a bit. But yeah, just maybe do something else nice here today, where you're feeling safe and we can look after you.
We'll be able to reschedule.
I'll give people a call. Because now you've told me I can cancel stuff, because they might still be able to sell their tickets.
Yeah.
And then I'll speak to them about rebooking and so on. Don't worry about anything, OK? When I told her that everything could either be rearranged or cancelled quite easily, I saw some relief on her face, and I'm glad I saw that, really. Yeah. Just try and have a nice day. Yeah?
Thank you for doing it.
It's my pleasure, honestly. We had to try. There was always this risk that you wouldn't be up to it, do you know what I mean? And it's a risk everyone knew. And we tried, yeah? It didn't matter, it was just making her feel special. And that was really touching for me because I just wanted to see a spark in her again and for her to know that we hadn't sort of given up. Is there anything we can do for you today? Because I think you're going to be a bit disappointed, aren't you?
Yeah.
Maybe we could watch a Lion King DVD. I'll be quite happy with that.
No.
But yeah.
It's okay, I've got my head around it, so.
Ultimately, that fear of also ending up in a London hospital and not knowing what's going to happen was the deal breaker for Indira. And to be honest, the last thing I said to her about that was, if you're happy just spending the day with your family here at the hospice, then that's all that matters, really.